Well, for more analysis on China's private sector, specifically tech companies, I spoke to Sean Ding via Zoom. He's co-founder and CEO of GRisk, and he begins by explaining how Chinese tech firms have coped with increased scrutiny from the United States.
Depending on the sector of the company and depending on, of course, the ownership of the company, they have to react in different ways. For example, if you look at Huawei and TikTok, these are private companies that are sort of under the spotlight for most of 2020. They essentially don't really have a lot of options but to respond to U.S. scrutiny and U.S. inquiries from the corporate level. But if you also look at some of these other state-owned companies, I think they'll have to wait really until the overall tone of China-U.S. relationship changes or softens. Hopefully, once the next administration takes office, things might become more moderate, at least from the operational level. But still, this is in the greater backdrop of China-U.S. relationship, and I think no company can really just do things on their own and trying to come up with their own strategies.
So this exposure that a lot of these companies have now seen, then how has that affected their corporate strategy and their growth, especially when you think of companies like Huawei and TikTok?
Well, for Huawei in particular, I mean, they just announced the testing of their new operating system, Harmony OS, on the phones. If you would recall, I think it was last year, they started to roll out the new operating system, which is independent from Android, owned by Google, on smart televisions last year. And this year, they're moving forward with testing out a new operating system on the phones, on smartphones. So you can see that companies are trying to create different venues and creating different technologies that would become less exposed to the US. Same goes with TikTok. They are partnering, moving forward with the partnerships with Walmart, for example. Just a couple of days ago, I think Walmart and TikTok announced that they're going forward with the online live stream shopping experience, which you've seen already in Chinese apps. In the Chinese version of TikTok, you can just shop in the app while someone is basically showing you the store. And Walmart and TikTok is trying out the same model in the US. So a lot of these collaborations and partnerships are going forward in a way to both anticipate future regulatory concerns as well as to sort of carry the business forward, not staying trapped in this current conundrum.
And we're certainly seeing companies exploring their options. In fact, we're seeing more and more Chinese companies either listing in Hong Kong or Shanghai exchanges. What are the biggest benefits of doing that? And how do you see that impacting private sector growth?
Well, I think in terms of growth, listing in Shanghai and Hong Kong is not really going to have a direct impact on their ability to grow because that's more of a capital market decision. But in terms of the overall implications for the capital market and for these companies themselves, being less exposed to US regulators and regulatory requirements, of course, would mean a little bit more wiggle room in terms of their operations. But also the downside is, of course, they won't be as exposed to the US investors, especially institutional investors. So, I mean, it's sort of a double-edged sword, but also the benefit is clear. They will be able to attract more capital from Asia, from mainland China. So that's definitely still an upside.
Now, we did see in November this was in the works, and then in mid-December, we've now seen that China's antitrust regulators have fined units from Alibaba and Tencent under anti-monopoly laws. What do you think led to this extra scrutiny, and what does this mean for some of these larger companies?
Well, I think the Chinese leadership has realized that they probably have given these so-called platform companies a bit too much room or freedom to grow unregulated, especially in the fintech field. I think the Chinese government is trying to send some signals or warning shots to these companies so that they are aware of the potential risks and systematic risks that they may carry in the fintech business. But overall, if you look at the communique, the readout from the Central Economic Work Conference, which just concluded over the weekend, China is still trying to encourage the growth of these platform companies so that they would be competitive in the global market. But in the same time, they're also trying to make sure that through these small fines and through these warning shots and early warnings, that companies will be more aware of the potential fintech and the financial risk that their fintech businesses may carry. So it's really, at this stage, I don't see a possibility of China really dismantling or trying to crack down on these large internet companies, which some have argued in the market. But rather, the direction is to still encourage growth, encourage these companies to become competitive, but in the same time, making sure that they are aware and they stay compliant of the anti-monopoly and antitrust regulations.